Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Robert Stickle. I'm also joined by my colleague Jim Patterson. Jim will be today's presenter and will discuss the topic of embracing change, the impact of generative AI on strategic portfolio management. This webinar is a new addition to our series of strategic portfolio management videos, so if you enjoy this webinar, feel free to watch the others we have available on our channel and look towards the next installment, which we'll be releasing soon. And as always, I hope that today's presentation grants you some insight into the world of project and portfolio management and gets you excited for the new developments happening within the industry and here at OnePlan. Thank you again. I'll now turn the presentation over to Jim.
Thanks, Robert. Welcome, everybody. Today's topic is something that you can't go anywhere, read anything, watch anything on television, etc., without the topic of AI coming up. It is really taking the world by storm, and it really brings about the need for us to embrace change. And in our domain, in helping people with project portfolio management, and specifically these days, strategic portfolio management, there are implications to this and things that we should consider in embracing change, because it is all new to all of us. So as we do this, we talk about change, with technological advancements and agility, and there's just the pace of change continues to change, whether it be in our marketplace, the demands and the needs of our customers, the way that we do business, the way we can reach customers, the way we communicate. All these things change, and now we've got AI and the evolution of changes in portfolio management that happen. All that change is accelerating, meaning that we have more things to absorb, more things to adopt, and more things to adapt to in order to succeed. Now, traditional project portfolio management, which has really been in vogue probably since the 90s, even before when we had to do it all in mainframe computers. But, traditional project portfolio management in the past has advanced the capabilities and effectivenesses of organizations significantly from that time. And we've gotten better and better as businesses and organizations with this over time. Typical traditional PPM benefits that we derived during this period of time is, as opposed to managing individual projects and individual schedules and things individually, we got more clarity and consistency and visibility into the project management activities. We helped to define clearer objectives that we wanted, and we made the planning more complete and more comprehensive and visible and consistent. We were able to optimize the allocation of resources and improve the quality of our deliverables by delivering better, making sure we had the right resources at the right place and time, and just provide overall reporting against everything that we're working on to have visibility to be able to respond better. And we did all these things in a fairly good way with a variety of systems and capabilities and processes that we put in place, and methodologies and frameworks. But these days, that's not enough. Really, these days we have to begin to try and better align our strategies of our organization, where our organization wants to go overall, and marry that up with the execution on the projects and the initiatives that we're doing. And this requires tools connecting the shared objectives of the business strategists, our leaders in our organizations, and those actually charged with executing the changes. And then we have to measure the true business value that we're getting from that. Are we working on the right things, and is it actually delivering value? So it's more than just having visibility into execution and delivering things for the sake of delivering things. We have to deliver the right things that are aligned with the strategies to help the organizations achieve what they're doing. So in that case, it really becomes a set of processes. It involves the people, the strategy, and the operations around all this. And we need a system of strategic development, building that plan, aligning our entire organization around that strategy, and then have operational plans to execute on that. And then along the way, monitor and learn and adapt afterwards so that we can get better and better and derive more value from executing on our strategies and the component parts that help us get there. So strategic portfolio management, the Gartner Group defines that as a set of business capabilities, processes, and supporting portfolio management technology. And as you look at the icons and the diagrams over on the right-hand side, we have objectives and some tangible key results. And then underneath that, we might have projects and epics and other development efforts and initiatives that we have going on. We might have continuous delivery through value streams. We might have product management and business capabilities to factor in. So it gets more complex as we think about the things we have to factor in to succeed, or the things we need to factor in even to choose to embark upon something in the first place. So in strategic portfolio management, this kind of next, frontier is leadership requires strategic portfolio management, or SPM, to support enterprise-wide strategy to execution alignment and adaptation of that. We also have to have a clear definition of those strategies and the outcomes we're looking for, and then map to a variety of other portfolio elements beyond just projects. There are business capabilities that we either have or don't have. There's the investments that we need to make. There's the programs that we're part of that we have to basically dovetail with. There's the digital and physical products and assets within an organization that we have to actually access or modernize in order to succeed. And then there's the applications and the projects themselves that we need in order to do this in the digital age. Now, we need to capture, define, and prioritize the business strategies. Then we need to manage the execution of initiatives and projects that drive the achievement of those strategies, and then provide full visibility and management of the core functional assets that I mentioned that we're dependent on or that we have to address in order to succeed with our overall initiatives. And this involves really the stakeholders here, the leadership who sets that overall direction, which is really our, sets our course. We have the IT and functional management organization who own the critical assets and the infrastructure that have to be factored in. And then we have the execution teams, the project teams, the portfolio teams that have to deliver on these projects and products in the pursuit of reaching these goals. So as you can see, it's more than just having a list of projects and executing on a bunch of projects. So why should we care about this? What's the importance of strategic portfolio management in today's world? Well, our environment is becoming increasingly more complex. And as we become more complex and uncertain and have to maneuver more, we need to seek ways to manage risk and optimize our portfolios and ensure they stay aligned with our strategic goals, which can change based upon the things that are happening in the marketplace itself and in the environment as a whole. We have a greater need for financial and resource optimization because we do face budget and resource constraints. And we have to identify and prioritize the right things and allocate the resources to things that are going to give us the maximum return and generate the most value. And then we also have a demand for data-driven decision making, meaning that we have to have insights into our portfolio performance and in real time be able to adjust, react, and adapt and make informed decisions on help us course correct when need to. And there's also the striving to become more agile. And using agile and other project management methodologies and frameworks in order to execute on our work. So as an organization, which we're adopting more and more of these agile and more iterative frameworks, and there's a greater need for effective portfolio management that can adapt and accommodate a variety of different approaches, because different types of work demand different types of approaches, and be able to align all these in the same portfolio and align them all with strategic goals. And then the emerging technologies and business models. We're here to talk today about generative AI. And these new technologies and business models provide both opportunities and challenges for organizations. We can address this with strategic portfolio management. We help to do that with one plan to help us evaluate always our priorities and our opportunities and ensure that they're the right things that we're working on, let alone being able to execute on them well. So this shift towards organizational agility is happening. And because we have to get the entire organization aligned with, there is a move, more towards out of departmental PMOs to a more EPMO or enterprise PMO type of function, right? And in order to do this, strategic portfolio management, you got to look at the whole picture, but we need to make sure we have good portfolio alignment. We have value-driven decision-making, working on the things that drive the value that the organization needs. And then ongoing portfolio flexibility so that we can constantly be adjusting to make sure we continue to work on the right things. Now, there is an opportunity here because you may say, well, we're not that far along in this. We're not that far down the road in strategic portfolio management. Well, take heart. The vast minority of people are highly effective at this, at all three attributes of this. There's a lot of room for improvement, a lot of opportunity for growth and achievement here. But a fragmented approach to doing this and not having a cohesive approach to strategic portfolio management can lead to excessive costs, conflicting priority, duplication of efforts, misaligned goals, working on the wrong things. And ultimately, we want to have our focus on being purposeful about what direction we're going on, because it's so easy to get pulled into the operational noise that happens. Customers even can pull us away from our strategic objectives by dealing with more tactical operational things, and we can lose sight or drift our focus and our efforts away from the strategic efforts that we want to have. So SPM helps us keep our eye on the ball. Now, with the introduction of AI, right, there is more disruption on our doorstep, but there's also more opportunity here now as well. Now, AI, ChatGPT, already has over 180 million users, and it only went general availability to the public in November of 22. That's just a little over a year ago. And if you think about the time it took to reach 1 million users for very popular technologies like an Instagram or a Spotify, right, or a Dropbox, ChatGPT dwarfed all those in the time it took to get to 1 million users. So that evolution is here, and it's upon us, and it's not losing steam. Now, organizations have modified their investment patterns, and so since ChatGPT was publicly released in November 30th of 2022, the Gartner Group had surveyed folks and said that 45% of organizations surveyed increased their investment already in AI and AI-related efforts since in 2023. 46% really haven't figured out what they're going to do with it yet, so there hasn't been any change yet. But as you can see, that's a rapid jump from where it wasn't an issue to now it's an issue, and it's being actually actively dealt with by 45% of organizations. Now, it makes sense because it's a hot new technology with excitement, yet there's apprehension around that. So people are checking it out because they're going, okay, how are we going to deal with this? How are we going to govern this? What kind of governance are we going to put around this? There's ease of access for personal use and experimentation. So all the people in your organizations have easy access to do it themselves off to the side for their personal things and their personal exploration. And there's massive market implications. There's no denying that this has got potential for huge uses in the marketplace and change the way we do business. And it also offers significant potential opportunities, but also entails disruption and risk that we have to monitor and manage and address as we go down this road. So some current challenges. I think from a strategic portfolio leader's perspective, we must cut through the GenAI hype. Yes, there's a lot of hype, there's a lot of excitement, there's all that talk and buzz about it, articles written about it every day. But we got to get down to the meat of what this means in reality, both today and what it means for us moving forward and how we can leverage this to our advantage. So we must identify its business and functional implications on the way we do strategic portfolio management, and we must do it relatively quickly because we do not want to miss the boat here, and we do not want to be left behind, or we don't want to lose competitive edge. And GenAI will impact your strategic portfolio management lifecycle. It's not a matter of if it'll do it, it will. It's just a matter of to what degrees and how quickly. But it's already here and people are already using it in a variety of ways. We also must prepare now for 4 key inbound GenAI impacts to ensure effective strategic planning and execution within our own organizations. So the idea here is we just got to contemplate and deal with this now. So there's impacts on strategic portfolio leaders. And what are some of those? The first might be that the emergence of GenAI in the workplace and in the general public creates immediate knowledge and skills gaps. So if GenAI is becoming pervasive and it is becoming involved in our organizations, if we are not updating our skill sets and updating how and when to use those tools at our disposal and use them to our advantage, it could be to our disadvantage and to our detriment, and and to our loss. And this is for strategic portfolio leaders and their teams. If we leave it unaddressed, it will impact our ability to accelerate and optimize, the way we do things. Leveraging and investing in GenAI will actually now create new demand in our portfolio pipelines with proposals and ideas and competing investment ideas for how and why we should leverage this GenAI. So there's a whole new genre of portfolio demand that's going to be coming, and it's going to require strategic portfolio leaders to manage and prioritize this demand for new and, in many cases, unfamiliar types of investments and initiatives, things that we have not worked on before. And then strategic portfolio leaders lack the partnerships potentially that they need to have to acquire the necessary data. So if we're going to leverage this and we're going to incorporate large language models and the data that's needed for our organizations and the portfolios that we work with, we have to train the AI to leverage the information that we need, and to get the most value from those investments, we need to optimize that. And strategic portfolio leaders and program managers and project managers and delivery teams, they will experience dramatic changes in their responsibilities. There's always that fear that's out there of, oh, AI is going to take my job, and that's not what the analysts are seeing. That's not what's being said out there, and by the Gartner Group and others. It's that it will augment our human efforts, and our human efforts will be redirected and change our roles to more of, we will leverage AI, we will manage the use of the AI, we will let the AI take on more mundane tasks so that it can free us up for more high value activities. And this is all going to be due to the proliferation of GenAI technologies. So some recommendations that came from the Gartner Group are, as quickly as possible, let's close those skill gaps. Let's make sure that our people are leveraging those ways in a manner that's appropriate for where our organization's at today to exploit the strategic portfolio management efficiencies that are available to us here. Let's also create portfolio activities, processes, and checkpoints and standards so that we can assess and evaluate and manage GenAI related portfolio demand from executive and senior leadership. We may get high-level desires to leverage things. The details of executing on this may come to those of us that execute on this stuff and understand what's the right aspects or what the right approaches or where the right investments are tactically in order for us to achieve those things. And then we also have to identify the types of data and data sources that the GenAI technologies will need for us and to be useful for us in our individual SPM life cycles. And we need to partner as strategic portfolio leaders with those in our organizations who own that data, right? So that we can incorporate that into our methods. And then we should document the known and perceived responsibilities of the key positions within the strategic portfolio management lifecycle. They're here, the portfolio managers, program managers, project managers, resource managers, et cetera. And as GenAI adoption progresses, right, these positions and their responsibilities will evolve. And right, we should update those descriptions and the expectations there in these critical positions to adapt as that changes over time, because it will. The key here is we have to incorporate GenAI not to replace our SPM practices, but incorporate it into our overall SPM practices. This chart by the Gartner Group looks at what strategic portfolio leaders should be focusing on. And for example, in the areas of adapting portfolio and market changes, right? Streamlining our portfolio intake and prioritization process can help us in infusing into our portfolio the necessary generative AI initiatives and projects that we need to take on. We mentioned building next generation talent and the skilling up of people into making maximum use and beneficial use of generative AI in our strategic portfolio management efforts. And then the same with embracing disruptive technologies. If AI is not a disrupting technology, then nothing is. And so now that it's here, we need to embrace it, but then find ways to use it productively. Now, one plan provides the path to strategic portfolio management as a complete solution for the enterprise. One plan is designed has tools for the business leaders to build strategic plans to outline those strategies that we talked about. It allows us to define objectives and key results, OKRs, or value streams, et cetera, that are the overarching directions that we want to go as an organization. On the execution side, the execution leaders, the folks that own the portfolios and run the projects themselves and the initiatives, there's tools there for them, and they can use the methods that they want, more, adaptive or agile approaches, more professional services, more product development types of approaches or frameworks, all within the same tool set. And then we talked about those assets and applications that are owned by the functional leaders, the technology and the assets, to have some enterprise architecture and application portfolio management capabilities within the tool set such that you can factor in all these things into your SPM process is something that is provided through the One Plan technology. And don't be intimidated. As I mentioned, most organizations haven't tackled this fully yet. It's early on in Gartner's hype cycle for strategic portfolio management. And you can take a crawl, walk, run approach to this. Start from where you're at, meet where you are, and then build a roadmap of how you'd like to get to where you'd like to be to the degree you'd like to get there. Now, One Plan provides a rich set of tools and capabilities and ability to manage through that entire process flow. On the intake and initiation side of things, we can outline a strategy in One Plan that can be used just strictly to execute on that strategy. Objectives and key results is the most popular way people are doing that today. The enterprise architecture would allow you to identify portfolios and items in there for things like application portfolios and product portfolios and a set of business capabilities that you're managing to and value streams, et cetera. And then just the plain old ideation and requests, ideas coming into that funnel, formal project requests and proposals coming into that funnel, and being able to entertain what are the right things to work on, like we discussed on earlier. Now, when you take all that and you factor it into overall planning and deciding what that portfolio is going to look like, that portfolio management provides portfolio visibility and selection, whether it be more traditional list views, more Kanban board views for things like program increment planning in an agile or lean context, or roadmap views, which are ideal for more product-oriented types of folks. But the idea there is having flexible portfolio visibility and tools to select properly. Capacity planning. Do we have the wherewithal and the ability within our organization to deliver on the things that we're saying yes to? Or should we temper our approaches based upon our limits on capacity, on the types of resources that we have? Financial planning. Do we have the dollars and the budgets? Do we have the original budget? What's the revised forecast look like? What's our actual spend on these types of things? What's our forecast on projected revenue and or benefits we hope to get from these initiatives? All that can be done right in One Plan. Let alone all those dimensions can be factored in a what if scenario modeling capability that's in One Plan itself. Now, once we decide on all that, beyond strategic portfolio management, you have to execute on that. And just to go without saying, One Plan does have the execution tools in there. We have work plans that can be leveraged right within One Plan, both agile and more waterfall plans alike. But to be quite frank, we are built on the Microsoft platform, and we integrate with all the popular Microsoft tools that you know and love, whether it be Microsoft Project, new project for the web, Microsoft Planner, et cetera, Azure DevOps, as well as some non-Microsoft tools as well. But the idea is to get this all into a comprehensive portfolio. And that includes managing things like issues, risks, changes, lessons learned, et cetera. Now, the individual resource planning that happens in projects, that is available as well. So individual project resource requirements, negotiation, allocation of resources, that all feeds into that overall resource capacity plan that we talked about earlier on in the portfolio area in the planning section. And then be able to get feedback from the team members as we assign things out to people in our organization. They need a singular place to go to actually provide status on all their work, or even provide a timesheet if you got to do things like capitalized labor, or do chargebacks, or invoice out to existing customers. Those capabilities are here as well. And then ongoing, as we perform the analysis, individual project status reports is a natural output of the process. Dashboards at whatever level you need it, whether it be at the portfolio or the program or the project level, or even more detailed resource information. Visualizations, how all this stuff interrelates. We talked about all these different components from the enterprise architecture and the strategies. How well is this aligned, and what are we dependent on or associated with along the way? Ultimately, all these things come together so we can have outcomes. We can have delivery of products, services, business value, etc., successfully, so that we enhance the organization. Now today, OnePlan is leveraging artificial intelligence and GenAI with our Sophia GPT, as we call her. Now, many of you out there using ChatGPT today for your own personal use and even maybe for some business use. Our partner Microsoft has launched Copilot to provide AI based through the Microsoft technology and infrastructure. And OnePlan has introduced Sophia GPT that's specific for this use in strategic portfolio management. The idea here is we want to make sure we're doing the right work that's aligned well and execute on the work well so that we succeed at the end of the day. Now, this happens across the enterprise. This is not just the domain of the project management office. There's innovation programs, transformation programs, there's IT, there's application product development, professional services, etc. So this does not limit itself just to any specific domain within your organization. And we can integrate this stuff, as we talked about, with a built-in integration platform that allows us to connect all these genres of tools, whether it be your financials, whether it be other strategic tools, like if you're using Microsoft Viva Goals to lay out your strategy. We can funnel that in and leverage it in the context of full strategic portfolio management. So Sophia GPT, we really feel it's a game changer. It is AI-driven collaboration. It's based on Microsoft's Azure OpenAI. It's not the general OpenAI that's out there on the internet. It's got all its security and compliance that you'd expect from the Microsoft Cloud, and we deliver OnePlan from the Microsoft Cloud as well. But it's designed to be a pure play strategic portfolio management tool to enhance strategic portfolio management. It's not general purpose. And it's got intuitive interaction, natural language response like you do with ChatGPT, and it accesses data both from OpenAI's extensive network, but also from the OnePlan data that you're working with in the tool set. So it's leveraged for that specific purpose in the tool it has. And it can simplify tasks, it can help your analysis, it can help for anomaly detection and much, much more. And it's always available to you in OnePlan, no matter where you're at in OnePlan, and you can ask it those conversational prompts and questions at any given point in time. So where we're at now is at AI-based assistant, and we're actually working with OnePlan and Sophia to do more autonomous things in the future, in the not too distant future actually, so it will do some things for you automatically coming up. So sample use cases for AI and strategic portfolio management, this is some of the ones that we're going to talk about today with OnePlan, but in the strategic planning, and help us with the strategic planning process, help us with portfolio optimization, help us with overall work management, it can help us with risk assessment, it also can help us with resource allocation and even investment forecasting and tracking. So these are just some areas that we're doing in today, and we're adding to those each release cycle as we go through OnePlan's releases and Sophia's. So with that, I thought I'd go live into OnePlan itself and start talking about it as a solution. As I'd mentioned, OnePlan is delivered as a SaaS solution from the Microsoft Cloud, from Microsoft Azure, and it allows us to have a variety of different users with different permissions and capabilities. And where I'm at right now is what a typical homepage might look like for an individual user. And depending on your role and your permissions, you might see different things. But the here is you can set up different insights that gives people actions that they need to take, that things that are overdue or things that are due or things that maybe fall outside some boundaries that you've set. You can have recent conversation threads on things like plans and tasks and resources and get access to what's come in most recently right here at your fingertips. Access to the plans that you're specifically involved in so that you don't have to navigate through a large portfolio to get to the things that matter to you most. And even alerts are a list of things that might be due soon that you have to status. So the idea is that everybody has that kind of personalized approach with some insights that can be AI driven. Now, on the strategy side, if we want to start from the very beginning and we look at, building a strategic plan, one plan gives you the ability to structure this however you like, but the most popular way we see this today is people doing OKRs, or objectives and key results. And here we can have different objectives, which are the overall strategies, and then the key results, which are the kind of the tangible measures. Are we making physical progress towards achieving those objectives as we go on through? So here, for example, I've got an objective of increase our project success rate, right? If I drill into that in particular, you'll see that you can define, and this is all configurable, what you want to track around that, how you want to define it, what you want the timing of those things to be, and what you want it to be related to. And here it's related to a series of key results that we're tracking as we go on through this. But as we look at this, and this is going to be a very high level demonstration, and I want to visualize how this fits into the world. This strategy does not have any predecessors or successors, but you will see in what we call a runway view in our visualizer that this particular strategy does have those 3 key results associated with them, which in turn are aligned with numbers of different projects and epics that we're working on, but also related to certain products that we have to factor in, applications, and even business capabilities and value streams they might be associated with. And also, these are color-coded in this particular case by their status and how they're tracking. And some are at risk, some are off track as we go through this. And at any given point in time here from the strategy, I can always drill into a particular piece. For example, if I wanted to drill into the key result here, I could actually come in and pop open just a quick edit view of the details around that to find out why, or if it's off track, how it's trending, and what other things it might be related to as we go down the road here. Quick access to that, or I can fully drill into that as I go through. So the key here is that we can set these up and we can align them with other things in the solution. Now, if I take it to the next stage of the cycle where we might have ideas and requests around our projects and other things that we might consider in our funnel, we can actually look at these things and submit them, and we can have anybody in the organization submit one of these things as we go on through. And if I drill into something like this website redesign, say for example, and I can show the things I would like to capture on this, we could categorize it. We can actually put an approval and review cycle flow in here. We can maybe put narratives around business cases and assess what the financial budget and benefits might be, even put a prioritization scoring method in place, and then align it back with a particular key result in the strategy, even if we want to as well. And the idea here is we could, at any given point in time, look at something like this. If I want to visualize how this is related with other things, not as many, but you can see this website redesign ties back to this key result and strategy, and also indirectly has a relationship to the success of what we're doing with this product called N-Frame. So once again, we can look at these things in a variety of ways and align them as we see fit for strategic portfolio management purposes. Now, in this prioritization view, let's just real quickly try to use Sophia real quick. And based on the data I have in this prioritization view and its knowledge that it has from its general knowledge in OpenAI, I come in here and ask it a question like, based on priority and ROI, what 3 projects should we approve and why? And basically asking it out of the things that it's looking at here within this portfolio of ideas and requests, maybe giving me some suggestions on what I might consider first, and maybe some rationale around that. So as it's thinking, you can ask it questions and prompts. You can even ask it follow-on questions to the questions that are there, and you've probably done that. So basically, it's giving me the cybersecurity audit, which is giving me the rationale why I should do that, because the importance of securing our digital infrastructure can't be overstated, and the numerics are working out. So it's giving me rationale and reasons beyond just the numerics that has here on things like priority and ROI. Now, if I go to the actual portfolio, we can promote things from here. For example, I can promote and reorganize an idea or a request and promote it to a project or an epic or whatever other plan type that you have in here that you'd like to. So you carry forth this stuff in the formulation stage, can be carried forth into your project portfolio. So as I go to that project portfolio and I go here, we can flexibly structure this portfolio to meet our strategic portfolio management needs. So this would be where the execution happens. And we can define a plan type hierarchy of our choosing. In this particular case, I've got portfolios where I have one or more portfolios. I can have programs within the portfolios, and then within those, I have projects which we're denoting as more waterfall type projects, and epics, which are more agile efforts that we're going through here. But this would be the way you look at the world and the way you decide you want to structure that, what I would call your primary hierarchy. And as we expand this portfolio out, you can see the programs, the portfolios, the programs, and the projects. And each portfolio, you can determine who has access to that. So you can have different portfolios for different parts of the business. Yet people with a broader purview can see it all if structured properly with permissions and security. Now, as we go through here, you'll also notice that I have within these projects and epics a number of icons off to the left-hand side. This is that integration capability we talked about. For example, we have projects in here that are deriving its detailed information from Microsoft Project Professional, some from its new project for the web. I've got Azure DevOps plans. I've got Jira plans. I got Microsoft Planner plans. And the idea here is I've got some that have just Teams icon, which were related to a Microsoft team for content and collaboration, but no scheduling tool associated with it. Means we're managing the entirety of this right within one plan itself. The message here is that it's all coming together into one common portfolio and leveraging those constituencies that you need to get together into a comprehensive view. Now, yes, I'm looking at this by that primary plan type hierarchy I talked about, but we can have flexible views and look at this any way we like. If I look at this in more of a flat view of all the projects and initiatives that I actually have access to, I can take this and I can use any metadata I choose. And these are any custom fields that you decide to add. And I can go look at this and I can say, let me look at this, say, by business unit. And now I'm looking at this portfolio by different business units and rolling up and summarizing that. And I can also filter by those same parameters if I want to just focus on those types of things. I could look at it by, oh, I don't know, who's the manager or the project manager on this project. And I can then, go in here and focus on Austin Abrams and how his projects are doing. If I would have certain categories of project that I use or goals and things like that, I can go in here and I can say, all right, out of this, let me take a view and how many of these are business transformation projects that I'm working on, et cetera. So once again, you're not limited in the way you look at your portfolio. You're only really limited by your imagination. Now, if I go to board views, right, we can actually go into these boards, and if you're a more agile oriented or lean oriented portfolio management shop, you can come in here and work with these just the same way. So as I go look in here, I'm looking at it a board that's grouped by the state, proposed, active, closed, on hold, as well as we could have a backlog of things we haven't addressed yet, right? And we have color coding based on the status of these types of things. And I can actually drill in because these cards will show you a subset of the information that you choose to show. But I can go into the details in a quick edit at any given point in time. I'm interested in this red one, market research. And I go look at this and I want to understand why it's red. And I can see it's because the overall status is red because the schedule is off track. Everything else seems to be on track except for the schedule. So that's why it's red for me, right? On the other hand, I can also look at different perspectives on this. For example, I could interject swim lanes into this board, for example. And where there's no lanes on here currently, I could potentially go in here and say, let me do lanes by, say, category. And in this particular case, I could say, all right, here's the process improvement projects that are in active and proposed state. Here's the strategic ones. Here's the more compliance ones that we're working on, et cetera. And that same thing would hold true with any other data point that we might want to choose to use. In this case, we might want to look at business unit or priority or whatever it might be. And then a variety of things. You can have any number of board views you want in here. So if I was going to look at this by status health by goals, I could come in here and basically look at a broader view that has the different goals of the organization, like customer satisfaction or grow the business. And now it's grouped by the things that are off track versus on track. And that market research is in that group that's off track in a grow the business category. So once again, very flexible views that we have here. And then we talked about roadmaps, and you have the same flexibility on roadmaps by what you want to show, how you want to color code them, what you want these swim lanes to be like, etc. Okay. You know, and it, like anything else, you know, if I come into a view, like a go back to a list view here of a portfolio summary view in here, and I wanted to invoke Sophia here, and I wanted to look at the context of my entire portfolio, and I ask it another, you know, analysis question. In this particular case, I'll say, you know, what 3 projects are at the highest risk of failure and why? And have it go look at that for me and take a look at, all the data that I have in here, and also in relation to all the other knowledge it has from its general OpenAI language model. And it tells me that the following projects are the highest risk of failure based upon the statuses and relatively progress and the percent done. So it's basically giving me the rationale as to why these are the 3 that seem to be most at risk. All right, so in the portfolio, you know, we won't spend too much today, but if you drill into any particular project, right, you can capture whatever details you like, and these are all configurable about the data you want to capture, the information, the categorization, that metadata we talked about. Each plan type in here can have its own process flow and life cycle stages that you want, etc. You can build your own work plans in here, right? So with those work plans, you can use your popular planning tools like a Microsoft project or a project for the web, etc. But in this particular case, I'll say I'm looking at a schedule work type, and we have, just like with the plan types in the portfolio, we can have schedules, we can have agile backlogs, we have risks, issues, changes, etc. And in this particular case, I've got a schedule work type that I can look at, you know, with or without a Gantt chart view. And this could come directly from a Microsoft project plan, from a project for the web plan, a planner plan. But you can also use other tools if you see fit. So for example, here, it could be connected to any of these tools and a variety of others that we have access to. But the things like having an agile backlog and be able to put those here in place and be able to look at that agile backlog, that could be either built here or derived from another tool. We can actually put sprint plans in place and show those sprints and look at what items are members of which sprints, etc., and build those plans here. And the same connector technology would allow us to derive this information from things like Azure DevOps or Jira or other planning tools as well. So just be aware that flexibility to bring this all together into a common hub is provided by our ability to connect these things together. Now, also, we have resource plans that fold up into overall resource capacity plans, okay? We have financial plans that allow us to track financials and plan all different types of cost categories that make sense for you and allow us to bring that data together, whether it be a budget, whether it be revised forecasts, actuals, benefits, and revenue. And we can even compare different types together if we want to look at things like how the budget compares to the revised forecast, etc. So once again, very robust details around that, let alone the status reporting that you get as a natural output. And you can design the status report content to automatically pull data from one plan, but also give you the ability to put your narratives in there each status reporting period. And when you have each status reporting period, it'll save a history and a snapshot of that you can share with others in different formats if they don't have access to the one plan tool itself. Now, on the resource plan side of things, I showed you that one resource plan really quickly that basically rolls up into an overall resource capacity plan. In this particular case, I'm looking at a resource capacity plan that is, rolled up by role and the resources within those roles, and then the different projects that they have within those roles are in here. And what that means, whether it be in terms of hours, or we plan in terms of full-time equivalents, you can toggle back and forth or percentages of allocation, whatever makes sense for you. And you can even reconcile and negotiate with the resource and functional managers to go into places like, a developer area and basically say, in this developer area, I might want to figure out a way to get from this customer experience I need to actually put a name on this rather than just have a generic developer on it. And I might want to be able to find candidates in here and be able to have it find best matches that might fit. And I can actually see that Toby Stevens here actually has some bandwidth where the need for that is here. And I could actually just select Toby and replace that generic up above, or replace an overloaded resource up above, meaning I can always reconcile this. Now, the cool thing is that Sophia could actually make recommendations on how you might optimize this plan as well as we go through here. So that's another aspect that's available to us from Sophia. One of the things you might get to here is the ability to do things like, let's just say I go, let me ask it a question here. What resources do I need to hire? So it basically is giving me details of where I need to hire resources for this particular project and when I'm going to need them, and etc. So it's giving me some quantification of all that as I go on through. So once again, I can even ask it follow-on questions like how many of each resource I need, etc. Now, you may want to evaluate this stuff in a what-if mode. So in a what-if scenario modeling, we have a modeling capability here in OnePlan that allows us to go in and build models, which means we can choose like different parts of the organization, different portfolios, and build different models to allow us to do this. So this particular model, we're contemplating for this area in IT, 37 different projects, some of which are already active, some of which are proposed, some of which are currently on hold. And as I go in here, I may come in and say, all right, to do all this stuff, what would be the resource requirement for me to do this? And I could come in here and I could see, I have some overloads on this, right? This maybe probably isn't doable given the current selection of all these different projects. And I can select and unselect projects, and I can save different scenarios. Let's just say I have a scenario that's basically trying to fit within a $10 million budget as well as be resource able. Those selections of projects, of which 17 of those were in and actually 18 of them are out, gets me within, I'm mostly green now within the resource capacity that's in here. I could also, as that just beyond just selection and deselection of projects, I could use a mechanism in here where I could look at the timelines and say, if I needed to get some resources out, I could potentially go in here and say, let me get this lean manufacturing project and move this out into a later date and re-rack those resources if I wanted to based upon that, but I'm not going to move it now. But the idea is a combination of those things. I can save different variations of these scenarios and later on look at this in terms of both resource and financial constraint and see if it fits within my $10 million budget, which this does. I can also, as I go through this, go into an analysis of multiple scenarios and compare them. In this case, I can see that in the $15 million scenario that I ran subsequent to this, I was actually going to get $20 million more in benefit, meaning it might be worth my organization's while to find another $5 million in funding to get that additional $20 million worth of benefit, along with the budget and the committed effort that's going to be required to make that happen. We can also compare things like, we can do basically pivot charting in here. So where we can look at, do pivot charts and look at this from a detailed financial analysis, as well as your classic bubble chart from portfolio analysis, where I can see here's the bubbles on the things that we did select and see the biggest ones that are out here that are high priority, right? But I can also interject at any given point in time the ones we didn't select and see if there's anything that we should have considered that we missed. And it looks like there may not be things in here that we missed that are glaring. Now, once again, with the visualizer, right, that we talked about earlier on with the individuals, in the what if scenario analysis, we can use the visualizer in a different context. This one's going to show us of what's not selected, what's related. So what unselected predecessors and successors exist? And have we overlooked something because something important is happening here that we're going to need this? And should we factor adding this in after all in another different scenario, right? So that's availability, as well as that general runway where we can see all the interrelations that make sense here within this what if scenario capability. So, once again, Sophia can be used here as well. I could ask it the questions of what projects should we consider moving from out to in and why, etc. Same type of answers, same type of analysis that it would give, but also in the what if scenario modeling capability. And I'll just end with the fact that, we talked about the enterprise architecture piece and all those other things that relate that you saw in the visualizers. And I want to address it just because, we've talked about it here. But if we do strategic portfolio management, these assets, these applications need to be factored in. And so if I come in here and I want to have different portfolios of different products, different business capabilities, maybe applications, value streams, etc., we can manage those here at any given point in time. And as we look at this, we can, drill into a particular product, and I can come in here and I could just say, show me the visualization here that's centered around this Bachmanity project. And I can see that there's predecessors and successors to this. They all seem to be in the red at the moment, which is not good. But the runway can show me that this product, for example, is tied back to these objectives and key results, is related to these projects and epics, as well as these other business capabilities. So once again, as I manage this, I can manage a portfolio of products, applications, etc., and put it into the whole context of the way we do strategic portfolio management. All right, let me go back to the slides and let's talk about AI-driven strategic planning with OnePlan. We have scenarios, and I don't have time to go through them all today, but there are some slides here to kind of give you some food for thought, where we can have AI-driven strategic planning, where we can help increase productivity and improve alignment. In this case, we could ask it to do things like identify data to identify patterns, opportunities, and potential risks. And it would run through that particular scenario to basically give us its analysis to identify risks and opportunities. We can do portfolio optimization. We did some of that live as far as provided a summary of the portfolio data and maybe helped us optimize. We asked it, which ones, we could potentially be at risk, or which ones we should move in or out. We can optimize this based on the intake. We did one of those in the ideas area live. Enabled work management. We didn't get into this, but you can actually have it help build a business case and help write the business case narratives for you. We can actually help it do risk identification. So as you look at the risks and how to identify those things, you can ask it, for example, in this particular case, we can go into the risks and ask it, what are the potential risks and how to mitigate them? And it's basically got the privacy and security risks, and it's giving us some mitigation strategies around that and giving us some ideas around there. Resource capacity planning, we talked about that. Provide a sample resource plan for an individual project. If you're looking for some suggestions on how to do that, it will actually look, and pretty amazingly, at the needs of a project based upon its knowledge of when certain skill sets are needed. It's going to give us a resource plan. Now it's broken down by role by month, and if it even knows enough to have, for example, your architects and your business analysts more front-loaded rather than back-loaded, et cetera. And it's got quantifications in here that we can turn into a resource plan. Same thing with the financials. It can help us analyze insights and trends on the financial side. Even communications, for example, this whole idea of just saying, my manager wants an update on this particular project. Help me write an email in a summary to my manager. In this case, this is beautiful example of helping us free us up to spend less time doing this and more time providing high value tasks in our project program and portfolio management needs. Once again, look at this, writing it in email format. Same thing with status reporting. So let's summarize. Strategic portfolio management itself has become an important factor in today's business environment, and it's been a source of change and progression in and of itself. And there's increased complexity in the fast pace of change that's really making it a necessity for us to go there. Then the introduction of GenAI is even adding further to the degree of change that we have to absorb and deal with, but it's providing benefits for us doing that. And OnePlan, we showed you today, provides an end-to-end strategic portfolio management solution in the Microsoft cloud, but it allows you to, start where you're at, and do a crawl, walk, run approach to eventually attain the full benefits of SPM. And then the use of AI, we showed you Sophia here today, provides valuable assistance and insights into your SPM efforts and just going to help us get better and more effective at our SPM endeavors. Now, we do this all the time. This is our domain. We're not a general systems integrator. We're focused on the disciplines of project and portfolio management. That's what we do. We've been recognized by Microsoft for 5 consecutive years as either their winner or finalist for their Global Project and Portfolio Management Partner of the Year. We also have been recognized by the Gartner Group in their 2023 Peer Insights Voice of the Customer for Strategic Portfolio Management, as well as Infotech Research, Software Reviews, and others. And you can try this stuff out. You can get started on a free trial of OnePlan Strategic Portfolio Management. There's a strategic portfolio management template that you can use. I would recommend, if you're interested in what you saw today, to use that one. You can either go to oneplan.ai/solutions, or it's available from you on Microsoft AppSource at appsource.com as well. We can help you assess this a little bit more. We will offer you a free roadmap workshop where we'll sit down and talk with you regarding your current use of solutions and tools and kind of what your aspirations are, where you'd like to get to, and what it would take to get into a solution like this, and how you might roadmap that for best adoption and what that might cost. Because we're leveraging a lot of Microsoft technology, you may already own a good chunk of what you already need. So free trials we offer, roadmap workshops, and if you're not quite there, I gave you a very high-level demo today. If you wanted a free personalized one-on-one demo addressed to your specific needs and objectives and pain points, let us know. Reach out at contact@oneplan.ai, and we're happy to schedule that for you. Or if you just want to research more about us, www.oneplan.ai. So with that, I'd like to thank you for spending this almost hour with me here today. And OnePlan really does bring all this together into a common hub. We like to call it the power of one. And you can either reach out to me directly if you would like to, or contact us email, and we're happy to support whatever it is that you need in the area of strategic project and portfolio management. Thank you again, and have a great day.